guys, welcome back to another episode of We Evolve.
And today we are going to be talking about people pleasing. So, what even is people pleasing?
Wait, sorry. Before we start, before we talk about everything, I just want to say if you guys hear any noises in the background, it's the dishwasher. Okay.
Bye.
I said something else. I was like, okay.
I'm like, oh, this is news to me.
Okay. What were we?
People pleasing. Yes. Okay. So I think people pleasers are people who, let's say like anyone, a friend, family member, a partner asking you to do something, and I personally think it's like you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you just want to make them happy, so you just do whatever they want to do. You know.
I
It's
agree.
Like, your thoughts on being.
I think it's like everything that you do or everything that you feel, you're not actually saying, and you're just doing things to make them happy.
Especially with opinions as well. Like if your friends have certain opinions, you're just going along with that.
Even if you don't actually agree. And I think that this happens this happens definitely in work settings, but I think it happens a lot more in friendship settings. You know what I'm saying?
I think for me personally, when it comes to people pleasing tendencies, I find that I tend to be more of a people pleaser in a professional realm than it is with friends, because I'm more comfortable sharing my opinion versus when I have a superior or when I have a coworker that has more experience. It's just okay, I'm just gonna do what you ask. But to go off of what both of you said, yes, that is pretty much what people pleasing is. The definition involves regularly subordinating one's own wants, needs, or values in order to satisfy others. This may include difficulty saying no, avoiding conflict, and excessive concern about being liked. And that's from Psych Central. And there was not necessarily an analogy, but a coined term that I found very interesting. And another term for people pleasing basically is the fawn response.
Which fawn as in
like a deer, kind of. And it's
like a baby deer, right?
Well, it's a trauma response. And so basically, how it works is there's the fight or flight response.
Yes.
And so when you're in that fight response, there's anger, rage, confrontation, and that's synonymous to a bull.
Mm-hmm.
And then you not really fawn like a deer, but fawning over someone.
Okay.
Admiring them. So then there's flight, where there's anxiety, panic, avoidance. That's synonymous to any fast-paced animal, like a cheetah, a bunny. And then there's freeze. You shut down and block out the threat. So that's really dissociation, synonymous to a deer in headlights. And then there's fawn. So it's not really fawn like the deer, but fawn as in you appease the threat. You see that there's a threat coming over to you, and you compliment it in order to neutralize it. So that's people-pleasing, codependency, and lack of boundaries. Because once you now made it your job to please someone in order to get their acceptance and in order for them not to be mad at you and have some sort of emotional stability, you now become emotionally dependent on them. They could be mad, and it might not even necessarily be towards you, but you'll still feel are you mad at me? Are you sure you're not mad at me? Even though they're not mad at you, they're just mad in general. So now you're emotionally dependent on this person, and you're doing whatever you can to please them when that's not your responsibility, and it has nothing to do with you. It's not about you. So that's what the fawn response is, but the definition that you guys gave is pretty much spot on, but it gets a little more complex. So there's low self-esteem / self-worth issues. People that typically have people-pleasing tendencies tend to have a lower self-esteem because they seek others' approval in order to feel more valuable. And it goes back to what I was mentioning before, where you become now dependent on external validation rather than internal confidence. And there's actually a study that kind of proves my point a bit, not necessarily on confidence, but on mental well-being. So there was a study done in China where the mental health implications of people-pleasing there was like a questionnaire. So it was initially 24 items, then it went down to 13, and it had 3 dimensions: thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. But basically, there was a significant association between lower mental well-being and the more severe their people-pleasing tendencies were.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all those like stats and stuff. I think speaking from personal experience, I definitely feel like I think to a slight, I think I still am a people pleaser when it definitely comes in work settings and definitely in like friendships, especially when it comes to groups. I feel like I just kind of go with the crowd just because I don't want to either say my opinion just because it's like different than the rest, or I feel like no one is going to listen to it. So then it's like, why even open your mouth? That's my view of it.
I think sometimes there's like, well, I agree.
It's not true, by the way.
I agree, like in work settings, like sometimes there's definitely cases where like you like need to people please, especially if like you have a higher authority like, over you. But I think that in friendship settings and like more casual settings, there's like a line, and like one side is like people pleasing, but the others is just like adjusting a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think that a little bit of it, like, 'cause obviously it's like not every single time it's gonna be your way, right? Or like the other person's way. So I think that in friendships, like that's more common because you're just seeing them in a more casual setting more. So it's like the things that you're disagreeing or like the plans you make, you may not want to do, but like you would do it because they like it. But that's not necessarily, you're not trying to please them. It's just like, okay, like I'll adjust, like I'll just adjust this time. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I think that's one thing. And then, but I do think with like opinions, it's like I don't think there's like an adjusting of opinion. I think it's either like you agree or, I mean, not like you agree or disagree, but I'm saying like if you think something and they're thinking something else and you're just like, okay, yeah, I agree with you, but that's not actually what you feel, like that's definitely people pleasing in my opinion. But I think that it's like if you're like, okay, I get what you're saying, but I like don't agree, that's fine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I know, I agree with that. I think it's like when it's like someone is so like, I guess, strong-headed as like whatever opinion they may have, it's like, I guess it's hard to get your point across because it's like everything you're saying is just being shut down, and then at a point it's like, okay, why am I wasting my energy over this? So I'm like, oh yeah, I see that, I understand. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I do in a way. It's like, it definitely varies per friendship. It's like closer people, no, I'm not going to be like all that, but it's like when you're new or it's someone that I'm like just getting to be friends with, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, yes, you're right. But there may things, maybe things like I'm not like okay with, but it's like, you know.
So that is a key part. There is identity diffusion or lack of clarity about self. When you are somebody that eventually becomes a people pleaser or has been a people pleaser, you, like we mentioned many times before, you prioritize others and conform to what they want or expect. So you start to lose track of your own preferences. You will not necessarily compromise, because compromising is a huge part of any relationship and it's very important. Like you said, there's a line. Once you cross that line, you start agreeing with people. So not to mention anything political, but let's just say you're having a political conversation with someone. You have your own thoughts and opinions, but then you hear their opposing argument, and rather than having a discussion or a debate, you start to just avoid, for the sake of avoiding any conflict, even if it's a healthy one, you just start agreeing. So you take your opinion and then you start tweaking it more and more until it sounds like theirs, and then at the end you're like, oh, we're basically saying the same thing, even though initially you weren't. Sometimes
I was saying that I think I agree with that, but I also think it's like with like opinion stuff, like it can also be like if I think about something that you, especially now with like social media, not even just like political stuff, just any kind of opinion that you have with like social media and how people are forming opinions, which is like, you know how like every opinion that people have these days, especially about politics, is very, very one-sided. Like they're not even like able to look at the other side. So I think that like pretend me and you were having a political debate and we have completely different opinions, it would be a different scenario if we did have the debate and then like pretend you understand my side logically and then you're like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing.
different because now I'm starting to see things from your perspective and it shifts mine to
Right.
encompass yours. That's normal.
I think
People
she's saying,
pleasing.
yeah, she's saying in a way where
Like you don't understand, but you're just switching.
you're just
You're
saying
just
it, yeah,
switching up
to
because
say.
you don't want to
be
be
different.
stupid,
Conflict,
be
yeah.
different, deal
Yeah.
with conflict.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, okay, I agree with you now, and so I'm just gonna prolong this conversation
Or
to
like,
make it
oh
seem
wait,
like
you're
I do.
so right. Or
It's like,
oh,
oh, I didn't think of it that
I didn't
way.
think of, I didn't see it like that. Yeah.
Or
'Cause-
even if you're having like an argument with someone and you're like, it's fine, like it's fine. Like it's fine, we're good,
It's like,
but
oh,
like
it's
you're
not
not
actually-
actually good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like sometimes
Yeah.
in an argument it is not that deep, but then you'll just say that just so you can avoid continuing this
Because
conversation.
you're like, let's just move on. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that happens so much.
And then
And then wait, like sometimes I say that I'm just like, you know what, it's actually not that deep, like I don't even care anymore.
Like you kind of like trick yourself into doing it. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just like, it's
But
fine.
it's like, you know.
I was just gonna say, like, when it becomes a pattern, when people start doing that over and over again,
The
eventually, yes, and they start to lose track of what they like,
Yeah.
want, what their goals
Yeah.
are, because they now associate their own identity with other people's opinions, so they no longer know who they are anymore. Let's just say you're in a romantic relationship, and I've seen this play out like a few times where you'll see a strong, independent woman or man, and they have these career goals, they have these personal goals, they have these fitness goals, whatever they are, and they're very strong, they're very stubborn, they're very tunnel focused, tunnel vision, and then this person comes along, and they start wanting a family, and they
Switching your career.
But I feel like
That's
that
the
type of
balance.
thing is like a little bit adjusting, right?
There's
'Cause, like,
compromise, there's balance, there's adjusting.
though.
I mean, cause like when you think about like right now, I'm not gonna have a family, but if I ever like go into a marriage,
Yeah.
I would be thinking about that.
But I think it's like,
this is normal behavior.
yeah, I think it's like someone who was very like wanting a career, being like the whatever, and then this,
Like becomes like a house mom or something.
yeah, this person comes along. Oh, is this
Yeah,
not?
no, that's
Okay.
exactly it. Yeah,
You're like, wait.
No, I'm about to add to
No,
whatever
yeah.
you elaborate, but you're on
Yeah,
point.
no, person comes along, they're like, yeah, like I really want like a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home husband, and this person really wants to be with this person, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna please you, and I'm gonna do
Oh,
what
okay, yeah,
Yes.
I get what you're saying.
So eventually what happens is you start, once they become
Conforming.
along, they already live in that house, they have 3 kids, everything, and they start to build this resentment inside of them because it's like, I could have been this, but instead I'm your housewife, house mom, and then all that resentment builds up and it's being put off onto all their family members, and it all started because of people pleasing.
And I think this is a very good comparison when it comes to like Indian communities, especially like I think old
Like
This is
parents and
controversial.
children.
No, it's not controversial, it's just like, it's relatable, yeah.
Like especially parents and children.
our parents, for example. I mean, I'm not saying our parents, but I'm saying any parents, for example. It's like when you're coming from such a traditional family in India, it's like you were always told to like get married, have kids, stay at home, not really having a career. It's you're pleasing your family by doing that, but now you're starting to resent them and be like, why did I do that? Why didn't I listen to my own dreams? And it's like you don't get to be yourself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Did I eat?
No crumbs.
I was gonna say something and I forgot.
Sorry.
Like it was just too good that I forgot.
Thanks.
It'll come back.
Yeah. Wait, what were we talking about before she said that?
The inability to say no to
Oh,
people's expectations.
I was gonna say that maybe this is, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like this happens to more women than
Yeah.
For sure.
men, right?
I think
No, I
men-
agree.
Because
That's-
I think women are more emotional, so they can
Yes.
read emotions
Yes.
and be like, okay, they're getting upset or they don't like it, they don't, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But men are just like, no, like, I don't disagree. Like, I mean, I disagree. And like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that women read deeper into people's like
Yeah.
emotions and thoughts and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying all men are like that, but there are a majority of men that are like this.
Yeah, because
No, I think that, I mean, I saw this like study and it was like, no, it's like known that like women are more emotionally intelligent than men.
Well,
and that's also,
Women mature faster than men as well.
yeah, but it's not like, it's not to say that there's no.
Mentally, yes.
Yeah, it's not to say that there's no men out there that like are emotionally intelligent, but it's just like a known fact because it's also like if you guys are emotionally intelligent and I'm your best friend, then I'm also going to become like that, right? But then it's like you have a majority of men that aren't emotionally intelligent, and then you have these like younger men going into that. They're also not going to develop that emotional intelligence. You know what I'm saying? So then I think that like women care more about like how that person's feeling. Like when I mean more, I mean like obviously men care too, but it's just like we think more deeper. Like you hear more women overthinking or like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think this happens to like people pleasing is like
They overthink because sometimes they're compensating for other people's thoughts and emotions, and they're trying to interpret them without actually knowing what they are, and that could also be a sign of people pleasing.
Yeah, people pleasing / having anxious attachments is not a good combination.
So
I also sorry.
Oh my god.
So there is people pleasing can be associated with fear of abandonment, aka anxious attachment. Like a lot of what we're going to talk about today is extremely similar to our anxious attachment talks. But what were we going to say?
I was just gonna say that there's so much information. It's probably gonna be a part 2 episode, like
Maybe,
2-part episode. But I was gonna say that I think people pleasing is more prevalent now because of social media. Because now you're seeing like not just your friends, your parents' opinions, you're seeing like these random people's opinions on every single thing.
So have you guys ever done this where it's like on social media you're like you completely disagree with the point someone said
and then you start seeing videos and comments
that
and
comment
you're
and you're like, wait, they're so right, like what am I thinking?
And then like cause sometimes I'm like I see that and then it's like at the very end I like go in disagreeing and all these TikTok social media is like disagreeing with that and I just have to agree and then I'm just like wait, like I don't even know. Like I don't know. Like
Which I mean, you're right. Social media has definitely played such a big part in like people pleasing and stuff, and it's like, I guess like go with the crowd is like the thing.
It's also not like I mean yeah I agree, but I also think that it's more like you're seeing so many more opinions that it's like you feel like you have to fit into some kind of crowd.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like different. You know?
You're going to be ostracized.
Yeah.
But with what you're saying about anxious attachment, the common factor of attachment, like anxious attachment style, is fear that you're going to be rejected. So that's why you anticipate others' needs or you overly accommodate them. So there was this study by Blotner where it's valuing others over oneself, development and validation of a people-pleasing scale. So I believe they used a scale and they had 571 participants in study 1 and 794 in the other. But there was a 10-item people-pleasing scale that analyzed responsibility, neglect of own needs, others' expectations, and there was a huge correlation in these personality traits of agreeableness, honesty / humility, emotionality, empathy, and subclinical psychopathy, with like that all of that correlated with people pleasers. And what was very interesting to me is it predicted pro-social behavior in economic games, such as like ultimatum, dictator games, indicating behavior as well as self-report prevalence. So something that's kind of associated with this is if you notice like the best CEOs or entrepreneurs are people pleasers. There's this saying, this phrase I'm sure you guys have heard where it's like you can't make everyone happy or you can't please everyone. Their entire goal is to do exactly that.
Yeah.
Because you have to do this task and that task. Your assistant's asking you to do this. The CFO is asking you to do that. You have a press conference happening at this time. It's like you gotta go, make all these people happy. And so very rarely are you able to take that time and put your own needs first. But to some extent, they're fine with that because they are just trying to please everyone else, and they're trying to do whatever it takes in order to please the most amount of people with the company at hand. Mm-hmm. So that's why, economically speaking, politically speaking, if like it depends on the general consensus of the dictator, the politician, are they really making everyone happy? And again, like that is part of their job description.
I think like even too the government,
Yeah.
their job is to make people.
I mean, that's what voting is, right? Like, that's what the whole election process is to make people happy to vote for them.
Yes, but that's like
Very
so. I'm gonna maybe like veer away from it a little bit because
Wait,
like,
I don't think it's controversial. We're not talking about any, like, political opinions here.
no, but it's just a matter of like the politicians involved,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like
I was trying to make it more like overall in the sense like government systems.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, I'm not talking about, like, presidency or anything. I'm talking about any kind of
Okay,
voting
voting
or
system.
election or anything. The point of, like, having, even if you think about, like, class presidents in your class, like, any type of voting or any type of thing like that, like, the point is to make people happy so that they can vote for you.
yes, however, there's a difference between fulfilling people's needs on a mass and making empty promises.
Yeah.
That's what makes it controversial, is because people are gonna look at this and be like, oh yeah, well this politician tried to make these people happy by saying that they were gonna do this and then they never did it anyway. A people pleaser is like, oh, that's what you want? I'm gonna do everything in my power, even if that involves me losing sleep, losing food, not taking care of my basic
okay.
needs, just so I can get you what you want and make you happy.
That's what.
Like, sure,
Okay.
there are politicians out there that might have this mindset, but not everyone would believe that, because it's like, oh yeah, then why did they pass this or do this and it affected my family like this? And
It's very perspective based.
it's, yes, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're
Yeah, funny, you're wrong. Yeah.
So she will not be joining us. But the scale, like, it was based on the Likert scale, and so that's just like, again, going on these qualities. That's typically something that you want: agreeableness, humility, empathy, something that you want in a leader, right? Which is why people pleasing is so common. That's also, I've heard from, I believe it was Alex Hormozy that said this, but it's like, what do Alex Hormozy is basically somebody that spends, like, he's someone that's extremely talented and skilled in business making.
Okay, cool.
And he spends a lot of time and money making forms of education, whether that be books or videos, in order to help people grow businesses.
Mhm.
That's like a very short, concise summary for me.
Okay.
But like he said, people ask, what is the difference between like regular people and champions? And he said it's not what they have, it's what they don't have. They don't have the ability to stop, and they just keep going, even if their own needs aren't met. And I think he also, I don't know if it was him or somebody else that made the association between people pleasers and CEOs, where that's their entire goal, is to make other people happy. And that's what makes them successful externally. But internally, they probably have a lot of struggles that they're dealing with that they just choose to ignore, or that they don't know how to process.
I'm gonna say something, and it's not like I'm not encouraging people to become people pleasers or anything, but I'm saying, like, it's seeming like these people pleasers are the ones that are successful though. So what is actually making one stop from being
I
that?
think in a work environment, it's making people successful. Like I guess in friendships too, if you just agree with everyone, you might have a lot of friends because you're nice and you agree.
So
with
it's like,
their
what
opinions, but it's like-
incentive makes people not want to be people pleaser when everything seems
I
to?
feel like you're putting up a front in a way.
It's
But that's what I'm
basically-
saying. But I'm saying, like, if you're gonna make this association, I mean, I know this is a very professional setting we're talking about, but even in that type of setting, it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like the CEOs, like that's their goal is to make people happy, to spread their business, like whatever, you know. And like, if people are doing that and are becoming like leaders and like these whatever CEOs and champions, whatever, it's like what kind of incentive makes people not want to be a people pleaser when it's like that's all these like big leaders are doing? Do you know what I'm saying?
It all depends on somebody's definition of success. So a people pleaser that wants to run a company, whatever it may be, then their form of success is going to look like a political position, a CEO. If you're a people pleaser whose goal or dream is to be a mother, is to be a doctor, is to be like some kind of caretaker, then you are going to please everyone within your power to get that goal. So different goals have different incentives that make people successful. So, but if your question is, okay, if that's the case, then why aren't everyone, or why isn't everyone like that? Like, why isn't everyone like a people pleaser if there's a strong correlation between these qualities and success? Because people have a breaking point. Sure, their idea of success is being a CEO, but then at some point, it's not even what's your idea of success, it's what's your idea of happiness. Mm-hmm. It's like, is me being successful sitting on this multi-million-dollar company where I'm making everybody else happy but myself? Or is it having maybe a smaller business, but I still have more time to myself that I can spend time with and raise a family? So that's what stops people. That's what keeps them from getting that incentive, because it's like, oh, if I'm a people pleaser, then I get all this. Do I even want all that if it means I'm losing time that I could have been spending with my family, per se?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're definitely not to part 2 of this because
Yeah.
it gets deep.
Yeah.
So I guess it's very like, I guess everyone's limit of, okay, I think that people pleasing is like a natural thing that everyone does to some extent, but it's just like, I guess like how much you can do it and still be happy depends on the person.
Which, yeah, it depends on the person, exactly.
And
it's
like,
some people do crash. Some people are tired of being a friend, and it's like, why? Like,
I fully thought you meant like,
Yeah, I was
do crack?
I thought you said do crack, and
You
I was
said-
like, where's she gonna go with this?
I was like, what is she talking
No,
about?
some people have a breaking point. Some people
You
crack
said
under
some people
pressure.
do crack, and I was like,
I was like, is it because they're done people pleasing, so they just turned into drugs?
I literally just froze for a
I
second.
know, I saw your
What?
face. I was like, did I
I'm
say
like,
it
what?
wrong? Wait, no, I really crack under pressure.
Yeah,
And it's
okay.
like, how much more can you keep hiding your true self? It gets tiring.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's just like, it's very like, you know how before we were talking about the whole idea of like adjusting and like understanding people's like opinions and like what they want. So I guess everyone's like point of differentiating between that people pleasing and like actually doing something to make someone happy because you care to do that. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I think the line is different for everyone and for every type of scenario and every type of setting and like, you know, whatever.
I think even when it comes to us 3 recording this episode, there may be opinions that we might not disagree with, but because we want to avoid a huge discussion with it, we're just like, oh yeah, I see that, I get it. You know?
No.
Yeah, turn it
No,
around.
I can't think of something that we.
I swear I might have done it like in the beginning when we started recording, like not today, but like in our beginning episodes, just to like avoid a further discussion, or like I have very strong opinions about it, but it's like, it's gonna take so long.
Oh yeah, I
and
know.
It's like,
I'm the reason that we have part 2s. so, yeah.
no, and I think like, yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel. So I was like, interesting.
Okay, well, funny. Do you
Did I-
feel comfortable
did
to
I say
say your
it?
opinions
Wait,
now?
oh yeah, for sure. I think in the beginning when we just got it started, like even I don't want whoever is watching these videos, I like would like, then I have to explain my point of view and it takes so long and it's like,
It's exhausting.
yeah, it's exhausting. It's like convenient for me to just be like, oh wait, yeah, I get it. So it's like not even because of you two. It's just like if people,
That's just how you are.
yeah, that's how I am. I'm so used to doing that. It's like agreeing is easier and better for me because it avoids like I guess like it's a waste of time for me too.
You're loved.
Stop! Wait, I'm not saying it as like a bad thing. I'm saying
And the fact that I didn't see you coming, I just see your hand there. I was like, I already know what she's about to say.
wait, no, it's not that. It's like not even just you two. It's like literally people who could be watching this. I could be like, I have to explain my entire opinion. I'm already tired. Like I don't want to like explain my thought process.
Yeah.
I think it'll take too long. So I'm like, okay, like I was just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I get that. I see that.
Yeah.
This is like therapy session for me today.
I get that,
Yeah.
but again, I just think that there's that line, and
Yeah.
it's just different.
So
Yeah.
what you are partially describing
Oh,
is
I forgot another point.
no, like you basically brought up another point where it's this personality trait called sociotropy, where it's closely tied to people.
Alina's just diagnosing you
No,
today.
for real. I am not a licensed medical professional
None of
in
us.
psychology
Yeah, none of
or
us are.
psychiatry, so I am not diagnosing her or anyone in any way. Just giving information. But to be honest with you, I don't even know if half of the stuff that I'm saying I'm pronouncing correctly. It's just based on what I'm reading. But it's a high need for closeness and approval in relationships, and it is at the expense of autonomy. So you, like we mentioned before, you start losing this sense of choice, right? You may choose her opinion over mine or mine over hers, but you stop making choices and you kind of just go with the flow. Just like you said, it's exhausting to have to elaborate for yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you have a completely differing opinion from both of ours. And it has a high correlation with anxiety, especially in social or interpersonal relationships.
Interesting.
So, because like you start to get anxious at the idea of you being exhausted from over-explaining.
Yeah.
You're sensing that, you're predicting it, you're anticipating it.
Yeah.
And so that can also make you anxious.
So, I think especially when it comes to like a bigger group as well, it's like so much harder for your point to come across, or if it's completely different from the rest, it's like, ugh, I don't want to deal with that.
But I also think like when you do things like that, it's kind of like, is that making you unhappy though? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, so if I have an opinion, we're in like a group, we have a friend group that's like 7 people, and I disagree with something, is like me, and I don't want to say something because it's like too much to explain, is me not saying that and going with what they're saying affecting me? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if it's not, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Because it's like, okay, for example, a super small example, it's like, you want to eat Mexican food and everyone else in the group wants to eat Italian food, and you want to explain like why you want to eat Mexican food, whatever. This is obviously a stupid example, but like, take that. And then it's like, if you're not saying that, is that affecting you and like making you even the slightest bit uncomfortable, unhappy, whatever? But then if you're like, I mean, I want Mexican food, I really want it, but it's like, if everyone wants it, that's fine. I don't think that's.
I think it's just compromising.
You know what I'm saying?
That's compromising, but in the case of like the food example, because if everybody wants this, I'm not gonna make it about me, and I am fine with eating Italian, I'll compromise with eating Italian. But how it affects you is the
how
difference
much you do
between
it, I guess.
It's not just how much you do it, but like it's also the difference between freezing and fawning. So freezing is when you dissociate and you're just like, I'm just not gonna say my opinion anymore. I don't care. I'm just not even gonna pay attention. I'm gonna wait until somebody just tells me what to do, and then I'm just gonna go along with it. Fawning is when you maybe express like, oh, but I wanted to go to Mexican restaurant, and then everybody's like, no, but I want to do Italian, and then you start feeling like they're attacking you personally, and then you start complimenting how good.
Oh yeah.
that
You're
they-
like, wait, low key, you're right. I want
No,
Italian.
like Italian. That's such
Wait,
a smart
that's
idea.
smart, like, let's do Italian.
Yeah, and then you start
Oh,
like
okay.
you start complimenting them on
Yeah.
how smart they are that they chose Italian, and now you're just like, to please them, I'm gonna go with them, versus just compromising. Like, oh, okay, maybe we can do Italian this time, but can we do Mexican next time? I feel like that's a compromise. So that you can meet your needs and
Or
theirs.
you could be like, bruh, like I want Mexican, but I guess we can go to
Or
Italian.
if there's like an Italian restaurant and then a Mexican restaurant right next to it, everybody gets their food and then like they grab a table and they sit together, so everybody eats what they want. Whatever compromise where your needs are met in some way, but if they're not consistently, then
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it's a
that's
matter of
valid.
like how much it happens and how deep the event
And I guess
is.
what she said, like, it has to be meeting some sort of like expectation of yourself. It's like, okay, you know what, we'll do Italian now, we'll do Mexican next time. Your needs are still being met. You know, like, okay, we're not doing that, but they already confirmed to me that we want to do next time. So yeah.
so
And your opinion or your thought is being heard.
And validated.
Like, I guess it's like that.
you ask like, how does this affect someone mentally by doing it over and over again? Are they even going to be happy at one point? Or at any point. So chronic people pleasing can lead to emotional exhaustion, as I mentioned before, heightened chronic stress, anxiety because you're anticipating these things, and then once they already have happened, you may have depressive symptoms because you feel like, well, I care about everybody so much, and it feels like nobody cares about me. And like we mentioned before, that happens especially when personal needs are neglected. And then another pattern.
I want to kind of elaborate on that last one.
Yeah.
I think that I kind of do that, like when it comes to like, when we're talking just about like, you're a little bit like, here, like let me give you an example. Like sometimes I like have like choices or opinions, or I think about things in a certain way, but people disagree with me, or I don't know, it leads to arguments, like whatever, okay? And then I start to be like, oh well, maybe it's actually not that deep. Maybe like what I'm saying is like not actually valid because like they're feeling this way and like this, and then I feel like sometimes I get lost and I'm just like, wait, like how do if I ask myself how do I actually feel, I don't have an answer because I'm just like, well, because sometimes it's like it's not like always the other person's fault. Like it's not like if me and Shivani have an argument, it's her fault and she's making me feel invalidated, but it's like I naturally feel invalidated myself because I'm like, if she's upset, I know she's a logical person, so what she's saying has to make sense. It has to be right.
So you know what I'm saying?
A little bit
like in the wrong.
Sometimes I think like what I'm saying, maybe my opinion is like not actually that serious. Like it's not that serious of a thing, and I should just like do what makes you happy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you think that has any relation to the fact that women are seen as dramatic or difficult or hard to work with?
Yes.
Well, kind of, but I think that most of my issues actually happen with other women.
Oh, I was gonna say
Still.
So like, because I don't think like, I mean, to be honest, I don't really have that many relationships with men, but like, when I'm talking to guys, I think that I, in my head, already am familiar with the differences in opinions and emotions between men and women, that I actually feel that I can actually stand up for myself more when talking to a man, because I feel like, even if they're invalidating me, I don't feel invalidated because I know we're different. Does that make sense? But it's like when I'm talking to a woman, I know that they're just, if I'm trying to argue, I know that they're just as valid as me from their perspective. So I try to ignore how I feel and look at their perspective because I'm like, I don't like minimize their emotional intelligence. Like I compare it to how I am emotionally.
So
That's so complex to think about.
Adding to that,
men look at women.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Adding to that point, it's like you're holding in so much, right? And I think when you do, like, eventually, what is the thing that you guys got crack? Oh, crack under pressure, or like crack under over, like you keep seeing things. When you break, I think men see it as of like, bro, like why are you always yelling? Like why are you caring? Like why are you upset over this? And it's like a lot of women are like, but you're not hearing me, you're not seeing me. I've had issues with this, and it's like you keep doing it, and obviously I'm gonna like crack under pressure.
Exactly.
And it's like
because they've been people pleasing for so long that eventually they're
it's
fed up.
exhausting. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that it's happening more like men are the ones that are like, well, not always, but like.
Wow, this is just I hate men video.
You know, I feel like it's more,
not.
I feel like more guys tell women that like, why are you always mad? Rather than women telling men, because men are trying to compare at their emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So they're not able to even understand that women they're getting upset because they care about you so much, not the other way around.
Yes.
Does that make sense? But
I see this in men sometimes. Like I see it in reverse. Like in my household personally, like my father was more emotionally expressive than my mother, and they grew up different ways. So these patterns where like there's this stereotype where the men are more likely to be calm, the woman's more likely to get upset. It was kind of reversed. My mom was pretty chill, pretty calm, didn't really care what was like going around minimally. Like she looked at things in the bigger picture, whereas my father was very detail oriented and focused, and sometimes that reversed some roles in the house. So it's like my upbringing was very mixed, and
Yeah.
to be honest, I liked it, you know?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think, because then it's like, like the stereotype matters less to you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I've seen the other way around.
But here's the problem. There's pros and cons, because then I have like a father where he's like, your emotions are valid because I felt them too, right? And I know you're feeling this way because I felt them too. If I'm getting like angry or dramatic, it's like, no, you're upset because this happened. Talk it out to me, which I appreciate. But that's the pros. There's cons, which is like you end up growing up as a woman. It's harder because when you grow up, you're like, oh, I'm probably just being dramatic.
You need to conform to how your mother is.
And then like if there are relatives around, they'd be like, you're just like your father. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so insulting. Like because it's like not only are you insulting me, you're insulting him. Because you're saying it in a negative connotation.
Exactly.
Like if I was doing something amazing and it was great, and they're like, oh, you're just like your father. Oh, it's the same statement, but it's a compliment.
Yeah.
Right? So no hate to myself, my family. It's just like it's not always women.
Yeah.
It's not always good, and it's not always women.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it that way. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not cool.
It's not cool.
It's like interesting too.
Yeah.
See it that way. Because I feel like I've always heard it as if like from like the woman's perspective. I've never seen it.
Because men care a lot, especially like if they have similar tendencies as their mother. Like my.
I think that it's just like there's less men
Yeah.
than women, so that it became a stereotype. Does that make sense? Because it's like it's also like, okay, well, to be honest, like the men now are different than the men like 20 years ago.
Fair.
Like the men 20 years ago is when the stereotype started. Does that make sense? Like the men only started changing like now. Like in this, like if you look like in our history, like men have always assumed the same role throughout history,
And
women have
It's also like families enforcing that too.
yeah. So
Not just
that's why
from
you're seeing like
social
grandparents
media.
nowadays, especially like immigrant households, they like expect the woman to be the stay-at-home mom and take care, not the man to be the stay-at-home mom. But it's like stay-at-home dad. But it's like now you are seeing roles getting reversed in today's society.
And recent,
but
that's
only
recent too.
yeah, it's only in like the last maybe like decade, 2 decades. But it's like if you're talking like every other time, mostly
Yeah.
men are assuming that role of like.
They're becoming
Do you know what I'm
more
saying? So that
involved.
stereotype is like generated.
It goes back
before.
to like what people think the idea of success is. So many men back in the day were incentivized to go into business, go into being the breadwinner, and they would be there for their families less. Now that you have 2 people that are bringing income into the family, now men have this new sense of autonomy where, okay, maybe I can see the kids more often, be more involved in the kids' lives, all the way up to the point where being a stay-at-home dad.
Exactly. That's why I think like now, like obviously now it's like you are seeing more emotionally intelligent men because it's like it's a little bit more equalized between men and women than it was like before. Like even when our parents, I'm not talking about like our parents, I'm talking about like their generation is like only really when it even started. When women started taking on like jobs and things like that. And it also does like go back to like social equality and like what the difference between men and women in the workforce, in the home, like in social settings. Like, it goes back to all of that. But I do think that the stereotypes that we talk about definitely will change over like the next decade and things like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that can affect the ratio between men and women on which gender is more of a people pleaser.
Yeah, because like now, I feel like as emotional intelligence increases, you start to think about like obviously there's like pros to that too, obviously, but the cons are also that I think overthinking is a huge con of having a lot of emotional intelligence because then you start to think about what like you are thinking behind in your brain. It's like not only am I reacting to how you're physically reacting, physically saying things, but now I'm trying to go into your head and think about why you're thinking about that emotion, how you're thinking about that emotion, what's and it's like that can cause you to become a people pleaser.
Yeah. You make a good point on the evolution of emotional intelligence. Due to the complexity of this content, next episode we're probably going to talk more about the causes, not just the effects, because that's kind of what we went over, but also potential solutions or ways to change or question the way you think if you are a people pleaser, and how you can maybe find a better sense of happiness within yourself and not just others.
Well, that's a perfect way to end today's episode. Come back for next week's episode on part 2 of people pleasers. Hopefully it doesn't run into a part 3, but okay, bye guys.
Bye.